Hey, I'm Ben, and I'm on a mission. A mission to uncover what makes South Canterbury not just an amazing place to visit, but an incredible place to live, work, and build a business. So let's find out what makes this place so special. From thriving local businesses to hidden community gems, I'm sitting down with the people who make this region tick. Entrepreneurs, creatives, and everyday legends who call South Canterbury home. Today we're interviewing Gordon Handy, who, among other things, is the President of the Chamber of Commerce for South Canterbury. Was it scary?
It was scary enough that at that stage I also bought my father out. Probably one of the biggest lessons I ever learned was, don't be frightened to ask for advice.
Was there any moments where you were like, this is too much, or was there any really big challenges within the business that you had to overcome?
Many of them.
Now you may be thinking, what does this interview have to do with St. John? Well, you're going to have to watch the interview to find out. Gordon, very excited to be interviewing you today. Now, leading up to this interview, I did some research, and I just want to read out a few of the facts that I found out about you before we get started, because I think it's quite impressive, the tenure that you've had in South Canterbury. So you owned your own business, Gordon Handy Machinery Limited. You started that in 1979, and you sold it in 2017. Throughout that time, you operated 6 John Deere branches across the South Island. You restore cars and tractors, which I've seen some photos of, which maybe we'll chuck some up for people to see in a minute. You serve on many boards. Some of them are the John Deere Advisory Board, which you served on for a while after you sold up your business. You're the chair of the South Island Regional Trust Board for St. John. You're the museum president for South Canterbury Traction Engine and Transport Museum, the Kyle Park Transport Museum. You're the South Canterbury Chamber of Commerce president. You're a board member for Presbyterian Support Services. You're currently overseeing a restoration project with DC Turnbull & Co. And on top of all that, you're a Justice of the Peace.
Busy life.
Insanely busy life. Yeah, look, I mean, you're doing more right now than I think I'll do in my lifetime. But simply before all of that, you were Gordon Handy. So I guess the purpose of this interview is for you to tell us a little bit about you and who Gordon Handy is.
Well, I grew up on a farm at Fairview. And we started with very little. But it was sort of a journey that took me through Fairview School and then into Timaru College. I remember when I turned 15, I had a discussion with the careers advisor at Timaru College at that stage, and seemed to think that he was wasting my time and I was wasting his, and that we probably should part company. And I did at the end of that year, and actually went and started my apprenticeship as a diesel mechanic. Served my time as a diesel mechanic and got a trade behind me. We were lucky, we were doing big hours, so I got through that pretty quick. And at age 18, I bought my first business. So wow. That started me on the journey of the business world.
That's incredible. Now, was that that first business, was that the business that you owned, Gordon Handy Machinery Limited? So that was a different business?
Yeah, I actually bought an agricultural spraying business because I obviously connected with farming, and yes. So I was an agricultural spraying contractor for about 5 years. And then we set up Washdyke, or Gordon Handy Machinery after that.
Yeah. Wow. So obviously, at a young age you started your first business, bought your first business. But did you start it or did you buy it?
That was an existing agricultural spraying business.
Cool. So you bought into a business at age 18. So it was obviously in your blood, business in general. What was it? Was there anything that happened in your early childhood or personal life that really drove you to be motivated to buy or start business?
I think if I think well back at primary school, I remember we had an exercise where we had to try and stand for election for the Prime Minister of New Zealand. And I took that pretty seriously. Now, no, I don't want that job.
It's a tough one.
That's a tough one. But I remember doing that, and I don't remember how it ended up, but I do remember, and it was something that I enjoyed doing. So, yeah, probably it was always there that I wanted to do something and be a leader of some sort.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool. Yeah. And so you grew up close to South Canterbury.
I've been in South Canterbury all my life.
Yeah. That's amazing. So born, bred, local, obviously you've done a lot, as I mentioned before, for the community. Why did you decide to get into the line of business of Gordon Handy Machinery Limited?
Because I had a machinery background. I knew farming and knew a lot of farmers. And I also had a passion for John Deere.
Yeah.
We had John Deere on the farm at home, and there wasn't a John Deere dealer here.
Oh, really?
So we actually approached, it was then Dolphin King, my father and I, and we had another chap, Dick Edwards, who was a salesman for us. And we got the agency for Timaru.
Yeah.
And then a few years later we bought Oamaru, and then a few years later again, I was in a meeting in the US, and John Deere said to us, you're either a buyer or a seller. So make up your mind, do you want to be part of it or not? So I came home and bought another 4 dealerships on the West Coast in Nelson, Blenheim and Kaikoura.
So you started with the one in Timaru, you bought the one in Oamaru, and then you bought 4, was that all at once? Were they 4 owned by,
Yeah, it was a big move.
Was it scary?
It was scary enough that at that stage I also bought my father out.
Yeah.
Because I said it was too big a risk, and I didn't want to put he was still a farmer.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put him in jeopardy in any way, so I'm doing this on my own. I made the call, I'm going to do this. And so it was. It was a real learning curve for me because I'd been involved in business that scale before. And it wasn't long, and probably one of the biggest lessons I ever learned was, don't be frightened to ask for advice. And part of that was that we actually set up a board of directors, and it was so good to have somewhere that you could go and chew the fat on and discuss things, and and it's probably the key bit of advice to anyone that's going into business is don't be frightened to ask for help, because we don't know everything. It's a learning curve.
Yeah, and were you intentional about those people that you asked for advice from?
Yes, it was quite strategic. We had one that was a family member and also a businessman. And he was very, very good to us as a board member and still a good friend. I had another accountant from Christchurch who was also well connected. Our eldest daughter is also an accountant. She's one of the directors of Solve Chartered Accountants in Timaru.
Oh, wow.
And our youngest daughter is she was trained to be an early childhood teacher, and went through the earthquakes in Christchurch, so it knocked her around a wee bit, so she came down and worked for me as doing HR, so just dealing with older kids. And now she works for her sister doing HR, so we haven't moved far at all as a family.
Keep it in the family sort of thing, right? Yeah, that's incredible. And obviously it was successful because you owned it for many, many years, from 1979 to 2017 when you sold it. Was there any moments where you were like, this is too much, or was there any really big challenges within the business that you had to overcome?
Many of them. And you take any business, and when you grow, it puts a lot of pressure on the whole business.
Yeah.
With people, resources, everything, and it actually does put you under immense pressure.
Yeah.
As I said, that's one of the reasons I needed a board, but it does. There's a lot of. It's harder to grow than what it is to go down. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun too. And the key is getting the right people around you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I'm hearing. Over the past few answers that you've given, a lot of it is about your network and about the people that can help advise, and also, like you said, you never know everything. So,
and I think a business owner is really a leader. And our job is to lead our people in the direction we want them to go. But, up to them, it's really just encouraging and making it work, because we can't do everything. Yeah.
And you chose to stay in South Canterbury for that. What made you want to stay in South Canterbury for your business?
One of the strengths of South Canterbury is it's the rural town. And the closer, I've always said all the time I've been in business, the closer you are to agriculture, the safer you'll be. Yeah. Because we produce food. So, and the best part with South Canterbury is I had so many contacts here. So if I needed a bit of legal advice or I needed anything at all, I knew who to talk to in Timaru. And it makes it so much better. So your network of contacts and support is all here. And the other thing that's really good about likes of Timaru in particular, if you pick up the phone, you can talk to the person and you can get an answer straight away. That doesn't happen in the bigger cities. So you know, for someone that wants to do things and make things happen, and I tend to be one of those people that today's good, tomorrow's too late. Yeah. You know, Timaru worked really, really well for me. You know, you can get that support that you need.
Definitely, yeah. And you'd say that's not just because you were brought up here. You already had a network, but you think that someone that wanted to move to South Canterbury, it would be the same thing, right? Because it's a
absolutely
small community, tight-knit community.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we all work together. You know, at the end of the day, you know, everyone's trying to get things to happen. And it's actually really surprising how many businesses like mine are actually driven out of South Canterbury.
Yeah. Now, was there a specific moment that clicked for you where you were like, I'm never leaving South Canterbury, this is the place for me?
Probably the network part of it. Yep. Because, you know, you had everything here, all your support services are here, you know, your IT backup support, everything's here. You know, if you needed something done, you knew, as I said, to pick up the phone, who to talk to. Even though you've got branches around the island, and you still want to use those people in other towns to support those other towns, but your main work always come out of what I called head office here in Timaru.
Yeah, cool. Now, I mentioned some of the projects that you'd been doing in my intro. I was just wondering, is there any specific projects that you want to maybe talk about a little bit?
I think the one we're sitting in at the moment is a classic one. We're at the St John training room in Whitey Road. This is a building which I was very fortunate to be part of, in the fact that many years ago, Edward Sullivan set up a trust account for anyone that wanted to donate money to St John. Right. And it went into this trust account, and it built up over the years, and this is going on for quite a few years. And when the time came that we actually needed a new station here in Timaru, there was enough money there donated by the local people to build this facility, buy the land and build it.
Wow.
So this building is actually totally paid for by the local South Canterbury community. It was built by local South Canterbury builders, and it benefits the South Canterbury community. So what a success story for Timaru. And I was lucky enough to be the project manager on that job. So even though I was slightly involved with St John at that stage as well, but to put this building up and get it as an asset for South Canterbury, it was really, really good, really cool. And
really cool that the community was a big driver in the funding for that too. So how long was the trust in place before the building was built?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was created about 1950, 1952.
And just over time, people just faithfully giving to the cause, and this is an amazing facility, and it is such an asset to have, you know, such great training facilities and such a great place for our ambulance, you know, to be housed. It's really good. Yeah. Any other projects you want to talk about?
No, we've just finished the Geraldine Medical Centre. I project managed that one as well, and to get that up and running, and that was another good community one, which was sort of funded pretty much by local community, both in Geraldine and Timaru. But the one I'm working on, probably there's two at the moment, is one is the DC Turnbull building, and it's a lovely old building, and we'd love to see that being reused. And all credit to DC Turnbull board, they want to see it repurposed and kept. So we're looking at different ways we could repurpose that building, and one of them is actually looking at whether we can make it into a heritage type hotel,
wow.
And that would be so cool. So we're working down that line with that one. And the other one I'm spending a lot of time on at the moment and is affordable worker accommodation in the Mackenzie, and just looking at different options there that we can actually get people out of cars. Instead of sleeping in cars, they can get somewhere nice to sleep. It's getting pretty cold at winter time now, but we're working with the council up there on that as well. So that's been quite challenging at times, but we're getting there.
Yeah, and I think that's the great thing about South Canterbury is, although you may be, you know, punching above the rest, there are a lot of people around this community like you that are passionate about the community, that want to see this place grow, and that are invested in, you know, helping. I mean, even with the St John example, a whole bunch of people invested in the community, gave for that as well, and that's why I like South Canterbury. That's why I'm based, you know, here as a young 25-year-old with a family. It's, you know, it's a place that I want to be for the rest of my life as well, and it's because of people like you that, you know, do amazing things. That, you know, it shows that South Canterbury is a great place.
There's not many places in New Zealand that you can be sort of an hour, 2 hours max from anything you'd want to do. You know, we've got the sea, we've got the ski fields, we've got water skiing, you've got everything within a couple of hours from here. We've got a good port. It's all here, you know, and we're the midpoint in the South Island. You know, I believe there's a lot of opportunity here, and that's why I carried on running my business from here. It's just it's essential, it works.
And the cool thing I've seen is that, just in my limited experience, there's a lot of businesses of all sizes that work here and a lot of different industries. It's not just the primary industries that succeed here, although they do very well. There's a lot of other businesses that really thrive in this community, which is so good to see. Which is really something that I've noticed.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. So, what do you do with your downtime? If you have any, I mean, you're very busy, but...
No, I haven't got a lot at the moment. The calendar's reasonably full, but you know, I love being busy. I like seeing things happen, and I like working with people. So all those things go together quite well. I definitely like still being involved with business and seeing what businesses are doing.
Yeah.
And through the chamber, do a wee bit of business mentoring as well. But it's great to see young people succeed, and that gives me a lot of enjoyment.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
So I'm really pleased with what you're doing here.
Oh, that's good. I mean, young, I'm actually 26 now. I just turned 26 recently.
That's young.
So, yeah, well, I'll take it. Now, you've been here a long time. You've probably seen a lot of changes and developments within the region. Has there been any real key ones that you've noticed throughout your time here, whether it be, you know, in the way that things are run or?
Yeah, I think we've seen a big change. As I said before, Timaru is very much a rural town, and farming has changed. You know, years ago it was a lot of grain and there was a lot of sheep and beef. We're obviously we've gone to more dairy and different type farming. So that's brought a different farmer to the area as well, and probably a larger scale farming. I believe that's going to change again before long. We'll see more horticulture and diversity into farming. You know, we're already seeing quite a few apple orchards going in. I think that's just the start of it.
Yeah.
And also with our global warming, that also opens up a lot of extra possibilities for South Canterbury. So yeah, I think we're in a great place here.
Yeah.
And I said, anything we produce, we can ship out because we're in the centre of the island and we've got a port.
Yeah.
It works.
It makes things a lot easier, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does.
So what's your vision for the future of South Canterbury then? You've obviously got a lot of developments that you're involved with, you know, from DC Turnbull to Mackenzie Housing. What's your vision for, you know, South Canterbury, North Otago as a region?
I think short term, and short term is probably, you know, 5-10 years. I'd love to see a very good sports facility here and actually bringing people to South Canterbury as a sports hub for the South Island.
Yeah.
Doing national tournaments and that sort of thing. Council are getting on that journey now with the Iraqi development, so that's really good. We definitely need more accommodation here, so there's definitely opportunity there. And as I said, I believe that we're going to see a lot more vegetables and apples and horticulture being grown around the area. So there's a big change coming because that opens the door for pack houses and all these sort of developments as well, which is
definitely. And
really
that drives growth, right? Business growth drives growth.
Yeah.
And more accommodation drives more growth. And
yeah,
so it's really important for the region. I think I'm similarly minded. I'd love to see South Canterbury continue on the path that it's going to grow, you know, with these projects that you're involved with, the council's getting involved with.
One of the big things we need is we've got to attract you young people because, you know, we actually need you to take up and carry on the momentum of what's happening here. So, you know, and sport is a good way of doing that. That brings a lot of people in and gets them involved. So, yeah, I think we've just got to look at making things happen.
Definitely, yeah. More opportunities for people. Obviously, more accommodation means there's more options for housing, things like that. So, yeah, those
I
things
think, dead right. And you know, as business leaders, we need to be an enabling type community. So if someone wants to start up, let's give you a hand. Let's get you on the journey.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the things I'm really strong on is, you know, let's just get in behind these people and make it happen.
So for someone that was maybe outside of this region that was thinking, oh, maybe I'll check out South Canterbury, or, you know, either for a holiday or, you know, maybe there's a job opportunity that's coming up here. What would you tell them? Like, what would you say to get them here?
It's a bit of a secret, really. We don't want to, tell everyone.
Yeah.
Because it actually works.
Yeah.
Look, I think that, as I said before, that the strength is that it's a small community and we're focused on making things happen. So, if someone wants to set up in business here, it's a great place to do it. You can get things done pretty quick. You can make things happen. It's easy to get staff. There's still plenty of low-cost land available to put your business on. There's actually a lot going for us, but yeah, no, it's good. It is a good place. It works.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's worked for me so far as a young business owner, even as an employee working for Seabay there. It's incredible to see the opportunities that come up and arise. And I've had a huge amount of help starting my business from people who have given me heaps of advice, who have given me heaps of opportunities. And I think that people would do the same for other people that move here to South Canterbury. It's been actually quite inspirational because there was a pivot point in my life where I had a decision to make when I finished high school. Did I want to go away and do my studies abroad or move to a big city? And I've always been driven, so I knew that I'd be successful in those places. But I chose to stay in South Canterbury and start this business that I've got, and it's paid off, and it's only paid off because of the massive support that I've received from so many people in this region. And I think that, anyone can experience that if they came here.
Yeah, no, go you, Ben. We need people like you.
Yeah, this isn't the Ben show. This isn't so just,
But it just shows how it can be done. And, that's the bit we need. That's what got me going as well. You could see a gap in the market and let's have a go.
Yeah.
And it grew into a big gap, but it was a big job. But,
yeah, definitely.
But, if you don't start, you'll never get going. So good on you.
Now, you started your business in 1979. The 80s was a tough economic climate. So obviously you surfed that out and a few other economic dips throughout the years. How do you think South Canterbury copes with that sort of an economic shift?
We're very lucky here because we're very close to agriculture. And agriculture still has to produce food, milk, so farming always continues. And that actually keeps the town alive because there's always something happening. People can't farm without a tractor. So they need to use it. And one day it will break down, they all do. So your workshops get work, and then after a while it wears out, so you sell them another one. And that sort of stuff has to keep going. So we are reliant on agriculture, and that really does give us that buffer. And you'll see Auckland and the bigger cities go through major pain on a recession, but it doesn't really affect the smaller towns, rural towns, the same. But you're right. When we hit the 80s in the first one, things went pretty tight. I think one year I sold 28 tractors. And bear in mind, we only had Timaru and Oamaru going at that stage. And then the following year, I sold 2.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine what happens to your cash flow in just less than 6 months. So yes, your belt goes very tight and you learn how to deal with running with limited cash. So, but that's an experience you have, but I knew darn well that it would soon come out again. And it did.
Yeah.
So, no, that's definitely a big plus for working in small towns.
And I suppose all of the services surrounding that also benefit. You mentioned the workshops, but also any financial services, any IT services, all of that sort of infrastructure that runs around primary industry also thrives because everyone needs to eat. And
That's right.
For those farms to function, yeah, definitely. Yeah, totally agree. Well, thank you so much for your time, Gordon. You're an inspiration. I think you're incredible. If I can do half of what you've done, I'll be a successful man. But to finish, I have 2 final questions for you. First one is, why should I, as a business, join the South Canterbury Chamber of Commerce?
I think you've already answered that question yourself because you go looking for advice on how to run a business, or who to talk to, or where you get someone to chew the ear off, and that's where the chamber comes in with networking and advocacy, and just striking up relationships with other business owners and people like myself that you can actually talk to. So it's really a networking thing as well as keeping up to date with legal changes and advice come from the government.
And slightly selfish last question. As a young entrepreneur myself and a leader, I'm just starting out. What's one piece of advice that you would give me to help me on my journey?
Never be scared to ask for advice because it's the same problems that you have as a small business as what we have with a big business. The problem's a bit bigger, but they're very much the same issues. And a lot of the times we've been there and done that, So never be frightened to ask for advice and do it early. It's there, it's easy, and it does make a difference.
Thank you so much, Gordon. Really appreciate this. And
Pleasure, Ben. Thank you very much.
It's all right. I'm sure I'll see you around. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.